Hi, my name is Deirdre Boswell. I'm currently a 7th and 8th grade science teacher hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This presentation is for a class at Grand Canyon University in which I am pursuing a master's in education. I am asked today to discuss what my dispositions are in education and how those dispositions help me to be a better teacher. The first thing I'd like to start off with is that out of the dispositions, I think those that are closely related to some of the things that I feel represent me are first, high expectations, honesty, and of course, the respect and diversity of others. When talking about high expectations, I have high expectations not only for myself, but for my students as well. It really pleases me when students set a goal to do better in class, and when they come to me and say, Ms. Boswell, what is it that I can do to get a higher grade? I have a B right now. I really would like to have an A. My average is 84.7. How can I get a 90? What do I need to do? So I sit down, I work with those students, I help to establish those goals. Also, as an educator, it's important for me when trying to engage students in instruction that they're actually learning something and that they're retaining the information. If I find that is not happening, or if there's a different way that I can present the material, I certainly like to explore those things, as well as, monitoring my behavior as well as theirs. Engaging them, creating structure. Also, in terms of respect for others, we live in such a diverse world, and our classrooms are no different. There's a lot of diversity in the classroom. There's a lot of diversity in our schools. I like to embrace cultures. I always have had the opportunity of working with those of diverse backgrounds, as well as having those in my own family of diverse backgrounds. So I'm very open to that, and our students are just like an audience. If we were to present a speech to an audience, we would have to engage our audience. We would have to find out what the needs are of our audience, who would participate. So it's the same thing in the classroom. You have to be open to cultures. You have to be open to diversity, differences in culture, learning styles, even in terms of how they relate to someone's culture, their role within their culture, how they view women, how certain language. I have Hispanic students who refer to me as Miss, not because they don't know my name is Miss Boswell, but simply as I was told that Miss is a form of respect. So I appreciate that and I embrace that. I also have no tolerance for making fun or any inappropriate language or gestures in regards to anyone's culture. I teach my students to, those are teachable moments when someone there's a certain word or phrase they may say differently. I allow them to share it with the class. We talk about, because we talk about science, sometimes some of the words can mirror other cultures or mean something else in another culture. So I ask my students to share that with us. So certainly we learn to embrace those. In terms of honesty, sometimes my students say, Ms. Boswell, you're a little bit too honest sometimes, but I think honesty is the best policy, especially in terms of it's a form of integrity. It tells who you are as a person. I never tell my students that I'm going to do something for them that I don't. If I promise them we're going to have lunch, we're going to have lunch. If I promise them that I'm going to bring something in, for an example, something that I could show them, I certainly make sure that I do that. Many of my students come from, as diverse backgrounds. There's some socioeconomic issues there, and there may not be a lot of consistency in their lives. I want to be that consistent person. I want to make sure that I'm honest, that I bring forth what it is that I say that I'm going to bring. Moving on from there, I also was asked what in terms of my dispositions, do I feel that I need to work on? One of the things that I would like to work on, although is dedication. Now, not that I am not dedicated, I'm fully dedicated to my students, but just in terms of some of the components of dedication, in terms of my participation in certain organizations, my engaging in, educational conferences and things of that nature. I feel like I can do much more of that. I haven't done a lot of that in the past, and I would certainly like to do that in the future. I've even currently been looking into some of the organizations and memberships and what is needed. I feel that that would enhance my role, not only in the classroom, but just as an effective educator. Another thing that I'm being asked also is which of the components of dispositions do I feel that affect my teaching? And, how do I, well, I would say that all components, in terms of fairness, I feel that I'm very fair. I feel that I'm very compassionate. I have respect for diversity. I think that those things are very, very important. I think they enhance my role in the classroom. They enhance my position with my students. It builds a level of trust. It helps them to buy into much of what I teach them, what I bring to the table to them every day. I just think that it's very, very important to have those components. And lastly, just in terms of how do I anticipate, feedback? How do I anticipate using feedback that I receive as a teacher? A lot of teachers get nervous about evaluations. I think evaluations are important. They help you to recognize your strengths as well as your weaknesses, and helps you to build upon them. I also keep a journal, a self-reflection journal. It was suggested early on in the school year by our administrators that we do this, and I found it to be very effective. It allows me to kind of decipher my day, determine what I could do differently. And that's how I look at my evaluations as well, not just as a form of negativity, but what is it that I can do differently? Sometimes I've identified things that, I say, yeah, you know what, I could do that a little bit better as well. So I definitely think that there are effective tools that I can use on a daily basis. Thank you for the opportunity to share. And I look forward to working with you in this journey of education, building up our students our scholars to be a power for good in society. Have a great one. Bye-bye.